Today was Brad's 22nd victory in 271 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series races, and his first win here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Brad, you had to overcome a lot of adversity out there today to take home that checkered flag. What was it like to really get your entire team through that process to overcome that adversity and get your first win of the season?
Well, you know, wins are always special, but early in the season, they're really good. You just can't take any wins for granted. I know I don't. I always feel like before a race, you obviously always want to win, and you always wonder yourself, you know, when your last win's going to be. And I'm not, you know, anywhere near retirement age, but you still think about those things. And you think about how tough it just is to win at this level, and how lucky you are to have a team to win. I mean, a great winning percentage at this level is 1 out of every 10 races, and you know, 1 out of every 10 races, if you can pull that off, I mean, you're a Hall of Famer. And I think that's just a testament to how tough it is. So today was a tough day for us. We knew it was going to be a tough day. This is a track that really separates drivers of all sorts and the teams of all sorts. It's early in the season. There's always going to be kind of those pre-race jitters with a track that you know is tough to drive, and with rules that are just coming into play with, you know, stages and pit roads, and I think this track they added a whole bunch of timing lines, and you're just getting back to being comfortable, right? You had the whole off season, so almost like any other sport where you hear about football teams, baseball teams that have those early season penalties and things of those nature. We have those too, and I think you saw some of those today. We had some issues as well, but that's part of the sport, and that's part of everything that's so challenging about it to win and making it special when you do, is to overcome those things.
Okay, we're going to open the floor up for questions. We'll get a wireless mic to you. Just raise your hand. We'll start here with Jacob. We'll work our way around the room.
Jacob Seelman, Performance Motorsports Network. Brad, actually learned something that I never realized during the Fox broadcast when they mentioned that you would have enlisted had you not ended up driving race cars. And I'm curious if you wouldn't mind talking just a little bit about kind of that perspective and how sweet it has to be for you to have hoisted the American flag winning the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500. I know your work with the military, all very special to you.
Well, you know, I don't really like to compare what I do to those that are in the military, because they've made and continue to make incredible sacrifices and put their life out on the line. But I have a tremendous respect for those that do. You know, that our country is based on those that are willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. And so I will always have respect for them. I've got a lot of family that either has served or is serving, and wishing them the best along with everyone else. And you never know in this life and in this career where it's going to take you. And I always wanted to be a racer, but you never knew, at least I never knew if that was going to play out. But I knew I probably wasn't going to be anything normal. And you know, that was 8 to 5 isn't really for me. So those type of things have always intrigued me, and that would have certainly been a route. But I'm glad to be a race car driver. I'm glad to have the opportunities I have to drive for a team that's world class, where we can win races year over year, and contend like we have here today, and to be able to have these amazing opportunities in my life.
I'm having a hard time seeing back there, but there's a question from the Performance Racing.
Jim Noble from PRN and Sirius XM. We only had, I think, one caution for an on-track incident. People thought that if you guys would be right on the edge with this package and the track. Do you ascribe that to conservative driving because the tire situation was so tough, you had to preserve tires? Was it maybe a natural reaction to all the wrecking last weekend at Daytona?
Yeah, you know, there's just going to be ebbs and flows, and I think sometimes we read too much into that stuff. You know, it seems to me like on the plate tracks, like 1 out of every 4 plate races, we get an incident, and you know, or a wreck fest, so to speak, at Daytona, Talladega, and you know, it happened in the 500. It was a wreck fest. Let's call it what it is. And I think a lot of people left that saying, oh, it's because of the stages, or oh, it's because they're smaller restrictor plate, or who knows what. But sometimes that's just part of the ebbs and flows, and I think sometimes we just try to find correlations where there aren't always correlations. I don't really see a correlation today to the stages as far as the lack of yellows. This was a race last year that didn't hardly have any, at least didn't have any legit yellows. And I think we saw something somewhat similar to that today. But I can tell you that I didn't feel like I was saving my tires. I was driving as hard as I could to make things happen, and a couple times I felt like I overdrove my car. And the guys I was around, I didn't see that out of either.
Go next to Bob, and then to Kyle, and then to Nate.
Bob Parker, ESPN. What did you think?
You're figuring that out, aren't you?
What did you think when you heard Harvick had sped on pit road, and where does this one rank as far as maybe, I don't want to say luck wins, but one where maybe you weren't the dominant car and things fell just incredibly your way the last 15 months?
You have to put yourself in position. I wouldn't say a lot of things fell our way. I don't know if I would call it that way, Bob, but I would say that, we've had races where we've led a bunch of laps and things fall apart at the end. It's just part of how this sport works, and you take advantage of the opportunities when they come, and we certainly caught an opportunity, but I don't know if I would call it a break. I didn't really think much about Kevin or his scenario, because at that time I still had multiple cars I had to pass, and I was just worried about doing the best I could to make the most of our day. So I didn't really think about that stuff or Kevin's misfortune. I thought about what can I do to get up there and have a shot at the best finish possible, and the doors opened up with making passes on the restart and getting by Kyle to do so. So I hate when I lose that way, and it's just not fun. And when you win that way, you just take it and you move on. It goes both ways.